Welcome back to the channel. Everyone who's joining me today, you know we haven't had a TA video in a little bit of time, and there's a reason for that. A, I've been very busy. Two, A and then two. B, there's been a lot going on in the market that I've just had to watch. You know, if I'd given you a TA video yesterday or the day before, I wouldn't have had enough information to do it. But now, not only do I have enough information to give you a good video, but I also have enough information to give you some very interesting news that has come out in the last day or two. So this is going to be cool. I'm also going to show you guys a new NFT that I created for Elrond. It's on Rarible. I want you to check it out. It's pretty cool. Nobody has to buy it. I don't really care about that. I think that EGLD is going to become so valuable in the future that this NFT will become valuable because of the fact that I created it now when EGLD was priced so low. So I'll show you guys that NFT. You can check it out. And it's going to be the only NFT I create for EGLD on the Ethereum blockchain. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until EGLD supports, or the Elrond blockchain supports NFTs, and then I'm going to create all my Elrond NFTs there. So this is going to be like super unique on the Ethereum blockchain. So I'm interested to see how it does like a year from now. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go over Bitcoin. We're going to go over Ethereum. We're going to go over EGLD, and then we're going to go over Cardano. And after I go over Bitcoin, I'm going to show you a little bit of news that's really important that you need to be aware of. And somewhere in between all of that, I'll probably, before I do EGLD, I'll show you the Rarible NFT I just mentioned. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, all that stuff, and check the description for links to Twitch and Twitter and all that. All right. First off, Bitcoin. Now, when we look at Bitcoin, we are seeing a couple of very, very interesting things. The first thing that I want you to really pay attention to are the moving averages. So I'm going to get rid of the TD sequential for right now, and I'm just going to show you these moving averages. I mean, take a look at what's happening here. You are seeing here that not only did we see this blue moving average, so the blue moving average, if you look at your EMA indicator here, it tells you which one is which. So the 20 exponential moving average is in blue. The 50 is in orange. You can look to the right and you can see the color of each one. Okay, so we know that the blue is the 20 exponential moving average. The 20 exponential moving average during a downtrend, it has a very simple change in pattern. What it does is it starts dropping and it falls below the 50 exponential moving average. Keep in mind, this is all on the 4-hour chart. Now, we saw that very clearly, and if you've seen these videos, you know that when this happened, when we were about here, and I told you that the 20 exponential was crossing below the 50, that's a bearish cross. And if that continued to happen, we were looking for a downtrend. So we called this downtrend when the price was around 57, where it is now. It's gone back up. But what's interesting about this is that not only did it go below, and we saw a lot of variability in the moving averages, meaning they started to become spread apart. Now the moving averages have not only become constricted, but we have had a very bullish cross, all right? We had the bearish cross back here when it dropped, and now we've had a very bullish cross, because not only was this cross happening when we had a lot of candle wicks, so that means that these candles were all bought up quite heavily right on the moving averages, but then on top of that, when we crossed over, we had a massive big candle going above. This candle went from 55,900 all the way up to around 58,000, right? 58,300. That's a really big candle. I mean, you're talking about a percentage move in that 1 4-hour candle of roughly, 4.5% or 4.2%. That's a really big move at these prices. You might think about like, oh, well, it only went from 55,700 to 58,000. That's less than 3,000, The fact of the matter is that a $2,000 to $3,000 move for Bitcoin is still a big move. It's still a move in the right direction. You're not seeing too many candles of that magnitude on the way up. I mean, look at the candles. When you look at them at a wider scale, the last time you saw a candle like this was here when the price went all the way from 54 and then peaked out at around 60. Before that, the last time you saw a big candle of that nature was when the price once again went from around 56 and broke 61. So when I see a candle like that goes up 3,000, followed by 2 4-hour candles that have essentially gone into what is called a doji candle. I mean, what you're seeing right now here, this current candle that we're on, when you see a flat line in the middle and 2 wicks, that's called a doji candle. That's an indication that the market is not dropping, but the market is not pushing up either. And that's kind of like an indecision in the market. Now, what does that really mean? That means that something has changed, right? We're not seeing this volatility that we had been seeing in the last 4 days. And seeing that after a $3,000 move or $2,500 move is what I would call an indication of something to come. That is showing me that something is about to happen. Now, another indication that something about to come is the fact that we on the right here see a lot of volume. We are hitting this trading channel where there's a lot of volume. We look back at the volume profile at the bottom and you see these last 3 candles have slightly increased in volume from where we were in the last, 3-4 days. Now, what I'm very interested to see is there going to be another massive pump? And I think there very well could be. And that could happen in the next day or two, meaning that Bitcoin, you could see a little bit of sideways movement like this until it's decided, or it might slowly start moving up. And then we'll probably see another big pump. Seeing that happen at this point is not surprising because we have already had a lot of good consolidation for Bitcoin. So seeing a rise up now is kind of what's expected. And that's why if you guys were following me on Twitter, you know that I bought Bitcoin when it was down here around 50 to 52,000. I bought more because I was like, okay, I think that that's a bottom. I had been telling you in the previous videos that if we go below this red line and then we bounce back above it, that's a good sign that we may not be dropping any further, right? I was hoping that we would go down to around 40,000, 44,000 so that, we could get cheaper Bitcoin at those prices. And if that happened, we would have had a double bottom. That would have been nice also. That's very bullish. But the fact that the price didn't even go down there and now it's already coming back up to these levels and we're putting in more trading volume at around 57, 58,000 is a really good indication. Now, the question is, why is this happening? And we're going to get to that. The other things I want to mention on this Bitcoin chart, just for the time being, are that we want to always zoom out. All right, when you're looking at Bitcoin, you always have to zoom out. Even if you're like me and you've been following these charts for so long and you have these trends that you've been following for a very long time, when you zoom out, you start to see something bigger happening here. You'll see here that we had been trading way above this yellow line for quite a while. Then we went up and traded above the green line when the price was at 58. Now 58 is within this lower trading channel, which means that if we have a breakout at this point, we could be hitting this green line again. We've hit that numerous times during breakouts if you follow this chart back. Hitting this green line now is putting the price at around $72,000. That's a pretty big move for Bitcoin. It's not going to happen right away, but what you could see is some movement through this trading channel, breaking above the yellow and then coming up to touch the green. I would say if we have that breakout in the next few days to a week, then what you should expect is that once we hit this green line, which is at about 70 to 75,000, depending on when the breakout occurs, that's going to be a target where we could see some downside movement. Once it hits that green line, we could see some consolidation again. So I'm really looking to see now at this point, when does the price break above around 62 to 63K and go into this trading channel? Once it moves into that trading channel, then I'm looking to see when is it breaking out of this trading channel and hitting the green. And at that point, do I want to sell any for the short term so I can buy it back lower? Normally I don't do that, but in this scenario, if the price hits 75,000 and then a drop back to 63 or 64 occurs and we come back to test this yellow line, that might be the only opportunity to buy. It may not go back down to the 50s again once it breaks 70. So, you could see that 20-30% correction again. It's always a possibility. But at this point, there are things happening that are making this a lot more bullish as time is moving on. And I'm going to go over a couple of those with you now. All right. So as far as the chart analysis for Bitcoin goes, I'm planning to make a bunch of changes to this chart. Not necessarily changes, but add a few more pattern analysis here that I've been noticing within Bitcoin and see if it gives us any value. And if it does, I'll add them here and you'll see them next week. But for now, everything's looking decent. I wish that the price would move sideways a little bit longer and go up to this red line. So if it could move sideways until like April the 5th, 6th, or 7th, that would be really good because I would like to see the RSI drop a little bit more because it's just gone up really quickly since it hit 50,000. From 50,000 back up to 57,000, that's happened within like 3 days. That's a very quick move. So, you know, we had slow drops in the consolidation and a very quick rise. I like it to go both ways, you know, a slow drop and a slow rise because that's a lot more sustainable. So we'll see how that plays out, but let's go ahead and move on to a few other things, okay? So we're going to look at ViewBase now. ViewBase is something I showed you last week where you can look at the exchange flows, the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges. So if we're looking at the supply on exchange wallets, what you're seeing here, the daily is not really important. In the day, you're seeing 3,800 Bitcoin was moved back onto exchanges, with the majority being on Binance and OKX. If we look at the 7-day history, we are seeing that a total of 23,000 Bitcoin has left exchanges, with 24,000 coming from Coinbase. The reason that it comes down to 23 is because there was Bitcoin added to other exchanges in that same time frame. Now, look at the token balance on Coinbase. All right, Coinbase has a token balance of almost 700,000 Bitcoin. If they have 700,000 Bitcoin and 24,000 has left, it's very unlikely that was related to Coinbase moving anything. They wouldn't have a reason to move that much Bitcoin off unless if it was for a custodial customer, someone who bought a lot of Bitcoin and then wanted to move it off the exchange sometime in the last 7 days. Meaning that if they did that in the last 7 days, they likely were buying when the price had dropped down to around 50K. It would explain why we saw such a quick recovery. If you had that much Bitcoin being bought and moved off exchange in that time, it makes sense that the price went from 50,000 to 57,000, right? Not saying that 24,000 is going to account for everything, but it's an indication, right? During this time that we see that the Bitcoin price dropped and recovered, we have Bitcoin moving off exchanges. I mean, you put 2 and 2 together and it starts to make a little bit of sense. Now we're going to move on to a couple of news articles that are very interesting. All right, so the first one is this one here. Bitcoin breaks out near 58K after Visa adds support for stablecoin USDC. This is pretty big news. So Bitcoin is rising in the wake of payments giant Visa announcing support for the USD coin USDC, a stablecoin whose value is pegged to the US dollar. According to Reuters, by adding support for the stablecoin, Visa has stripped out the need to convert the cryptocurrencies into traditional fiat before settling transactions on the network. Now, what does this mean? This means that Visa is now adding support for the USD stablecoin, which you just read. It means that when people are going to be buying or selling Bitcoin or doing any Bitcoin transactions on once Visa rolls out those features, that basically you're not going to have to trade anything. Nothing is going to have to be settled back into fiat currencies. It's not going to be reliant on banks at all. They're going to be using the Ethereum network, which is using the USD stablecoin. That's where the USD stablecoin lives. It lives on Ethereum. Now, because of that, this is not only affecting Bitcoin, but it's also affecting Ethereum. And we're going to jump into Ethereum right after this. So we're going to go over a little bit more news, but this is big news for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's really good to see the market being congruent in that sense, you know, seeing that there's news coming out that is good for a wide array of, you know, different assets. And remember, anything good for Ethereum is normally good for DeFi in general. So this news is good for Bitcoin, it's good for Ethereum, and because it's good for Ethereum, it's good for DeFi. What are you seeing in the market? You're seeing a lot of green. And the reason you're seeing a lot of green is partly because of this news, because people see what this means. If Visa starts accepting the Ethereum network and USD stablecoin, that's going to give the banks a jump to create their own central bank digital currencies. Once the banks can create their own digital currencies, and you can have a cryptocurrency that's backed by an actual fiat US dollar, and banks start using that, it's going to become way easier for everyone to buy digital assets like Bitcoin, EGLD, Cardano, Ethereum, all this stuff, because they are very readily going to be able to be traded to exchanges. Exchanges are going to accept it. Banks are going to accept it. You'll be able to move your money very quickly. Very, very good. All right, next. this is pretty much the same thing. This is just the main headline on Cointelegraph. So I wanted to show you that it's the main headline because you need to start looking at Cointelegraph and CoinDesk if you don't look at these websites. Okay, that's very interesting news. That's one of the main things I wanted you to know, and it's going to cause us to dive right into Ethereum's chart. So now looking at Ethereum, look at the effect this news had on Ethereum. All right, you see Ethereum had major price movement over the last 24 hours since this news came out. All right, we literally saw Ethereum jump from about $1,600 all the way up to $1,800. And I'll be honest with you, that jump, it's not even enough for the scope of this news. You're talking about Visa, who has 70 million customers, starting to enable the use of USDC, which is on the Ethereum network. That's going to increase Ethereum transactions by an order of magnitude that we might not even expect right now. So this type of news, if Visa follows through and everything plays out as it seems to be playing out, well then I could really see Ethereum crossing 2,000 on the heels of this news over the next couple of weeks. It's very possible. What I'd like to see with Ethereum, though, is that it actually holds its support. We need to see Ethereum move up and trade above this dashed line. This has been a very long trend line for Ethereum, and I'm actually going to get rid of some of these other lines that we don't need anymore. If you look at this dashed line, you'll see we traded above it for quite a while. We traded above it here, then we traded below it, and now we traded above it again. Now we're trading below it again. So for the next move up, what we really want to do is go above that dashed line. And that dashed line right now is basically where we're trading. The dashed line is sitting at around 1838. We're trading at around 1781. Or I'm sorry, we're trading at around 1825. So it's only about $10 away from starting to cross that dashed line. And if we see that Ethereum crosses above this dashed line and then gains support on it, and now starts trading above it, that's when we could see the move over 2,000 that everyone's been waiting for and set in that new set of trading above the dash line. The consolidations are getting smaller for Ethereum. It's just a fact when you look at these charts. Right? A lot of people look at a chart like this and they consider all of this a consolidation. I mean, in the wider picture, it is, but basically anything above this dashed line, this is our main uptrend, is showing positive price movement, positive price flow. We're about to cross it again. And if we do cross it and hold it, that is a very bullish signal. So we need to watch it. We need to see what happens. And if you look at the moving averages for Ethereum, they are super constricted. All of the moving averages for Ethereum are very, very constricted. We are ready to see a move with Ethereum because of this. And you're starting to see the moving averages get constricted, a move occurs. This move occurred on the heels of news, but it could also just be that the news just came at the right time. I mean, the price was getting ready to burst at some point anyways. Now, another thing to keep in mind with Ethereum is that we are starting to see that bullish cross because of this news. The 20 exponential moving average has crossed over almost everything. It's about to cross over the 100. And what we really want to see happen, this is going to be key. We want to see this orange moving average, the 50, go back up and cross over the 100. If we see the 20, so the blue and the orange cross over the aqua, that's really, really good. That is showing us that not only is this a sustained move, but this could be an indication that now we are having a major bullish cross to get Ethereum back on positive price flow. And we're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out the ramifications of this news. We're going to find out more about how Visa plans to incorporate USDC. And it's very interesting. And to say the least, hearing a major credit card company in the United States, and that's acceptable throughout the world, say that they're going to start using USDC to settle instead of using fiat currencies. They're choosing crypto over banks. That's a big statement. It's a very, very bullish statement. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Ethereum. I mean, the funny thing is there's not a lot else to go over on Ethereum. Just a little bit of the negatives is you're starting to see that it's going into the overbought territory as far as RSI, right? RSI is starting to cross the 70 level, but when you have news like this, that's not really a major concern. What it could mean is that we see a little bit of downside to consolidate a little. We see some people sell, but as long as we don't drop below 1750, it's not really a big deal for Ethereum. I mean, having a little bit of consolidation here, sure. Let some people who are scared take their profits and let people who believe in the future of the asset buy it cheaper. That's what you want to see. So I would like to see a little bit of selling to bring the price down, like maybe $100, and let some people take profits and let some people buy more Ethereum. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, with news like this, it could even drive institutional purchasing. You could see Grayscale coming in and adding more Ethereum to their Ethereum trust if they start getting calls today that, hey, all these other companies want to start getting into their Ethereum trust. They're going to have to buy more Ethereum. So if they start getting calls from clients saying that we want more Ethereum, they're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to buy it to supply it to their customers. So we're going to have to see how that works. But I feel like maybe the moves that we've seen because of this news are not over yet. I could be wrong, so keep that in mind. Remember, everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. You know, a lot of this is just speculation. I'm not a psychic. I can't predict the future. I can just tell you what I see and how I think the ramifications are going to affect the market. And it seems to me like this is an indication that more investors could be coming into the space, because if they see a large credit firm believes in it enough to use it, there's value. That means that other credit firms may use it. That means that other institutions may want to buy it and hold it. As this starts happening, it starts to have a domino effect. You have one company do one thing, and suddenly other people that are very wealthy start making decisions. As those decisions are being made, things happen in the market, and sometimes they happen quick. So seeing if we had a big giant candle by tomorrow morning that took the price of Ethereum over 2,000, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, it would be very oversold at that point, and I would expect the price to drop back to around 1,900 or so in a consolidation. I wouldn't be surprised with that kind of move. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Ethereum. Very, very interesting. All right, we are going to move forward now, and we're going to go over to EGLD. And the first thing I want to show you with EGLD is the NFT I created. All right, so this is on Rarible. You can find the link for the NFT on my Twitter. Just go down, or actually, you can find my NFT profile in the description. So just check the description of the video. But this is basically what it looks like. I call it the EGLD Bullion. And basically what I did here with this, it's kind of funny. I did it in gold, and then I also did it in white in the center. And that's to kind of represent that this is EGLD being born, in a sense, on the NFT space, right? It doesn't exist yet. You can't create NFTs on the Elrond network yet, but eventually you'll be able to. And every other version of this, including the pure gold and different colors and lightning and all kinds of stuff I'm going to do to it, I'm going to create there. And those are going to be number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, right? I'm going to keep the order going, and I'm going to start changing it over time and incorporating more into it. But this was just the start of that. And I'm starting to do a lot more with Photoshop and with After Effects and learning how to edit so I can create items like this that people may want to collect. I've set the price of this to 1 ETH. I know that's quite a lot. And the reason I did that is because I did not want this to sell right away. I want this to sit. I want to get verified on Rarible. I want to create more art that I'm ready to post once Elrond starts offering NFTs on the blockchain. Once DeFi 2.0 and hypergrowth continue their movement and price appreciates and the value of the network grows, I want to see the NFT space on EGLD become very big. And in order for that to happen, there has to be content. So I recommend a lot of you guys start learning how to do this. I wouldn't recommend posting up NFTs on Rarible or anywhere else right now because the Ethereum gas fees are very, very high. So it's going to cost you a lot of money just to put an NFT on there, like this one, for example. But if you want to learn and you have some spare change that you want to do it with, then maybe you can try it out. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say learn how to create. Learn how to create things that you think could be collectible, and then when NFTs are available on EGLD, that'll be the best place to put them because the fees will be much lower than Ethereum, and it's going to be a lot of us, the users of the blockchain, that build up its value, right? And I want to put a lot of content as NFTs on the Elrond blockchain when I can. So keep in mind, this one is available for sale. If anyone wants to buy it, go ahead, but I don't think you should. I think you should wait. Actually, you know what? I don't know. That's up to you, because if what happens with Elrond if what I think is going to happen with Elrond happens, which is that we're going to see massive growth over time, then NFTs like this that were created early are going to become valuable, right? They're going to become one of a kind in the sense that they were created at a time when the network was not worth what it's worth in the future. So I don't know, do what you will. If it sells now, I'd be surprised, but I kind of want to see what it's going to be worth later and have the first sale, you know, have a bid come in that's higher, or have someone just buy it now and then the price keeps going up. And I want to see Elrond NFTs do well, not only on Ethereum, but also on the Elrond blockchain. And there's going to be a lot of different NFTs. Remember, you don't have to create the Elrond logo. What you could do is you could create NFTs related to anything else. Create your own, you know, your own category of collectible and start offering those once NFTs are available on Elrond. Something to think about, but make sure you go into my link and check out the profile on Rarible and, you know, keep an eye on it. You know, follow it if you have a Rarible account, and you'll see other things I create in the future if I decide to put them on the Ethereum blockchain. But nothing related to Elrond will be put on the Ethereum blockchain for me. That's all going to be saved for the Elrond blockchain. All right, let's move on to the EGLD chart. All right, we did a little on NFTs. Now, the first thing that I've done with this chart is I've expanded this triangle. I spared you guys the time because you've seen me expand triangles so many times, it's become a little redundant. So now what we see here is that this is really going into a massively large consolidation. But the beauty of this consolidation is that it is holding price very, very well in a very active zone. This is the zone in the middle. We marked this about a week ago. And if we zoom in here, what we see with EGLD is that it has held this zone so well that it came and tested the top, and then it came back down, and now it's trading almost dead center of this zone, which is also just happening to be on the top of this orange or this yellow line of the triangle. Now, what I want to see is I would love to see EGLD drop back down to around 128 to 130 before it makes its final move up and consolidate a little bit more in this triangle. That would be good. You want all the weak hands out, and I don't think the price, for me to say that the price is going to drop below 125 at this point seems to be a stretch. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get a lot of support at the base of this triangle, and honestly, we may not even hit this triangle anymore, because look at what's happened to our moving averages. If we look at these moving averages, they've become so constricted that basically they are all now sitting in this rectangle. They're all sitting in this zone. The base of this zone is now our 200 EMA. So our 200 exponential moving average, where we normally see the biggest drops, is now the base of this rectangle. That is impressive, very, very impressive. It means that our primary trading zone right now is only 10%. A 10% trading zone. That is a very, very impressive trading zone. And we're actually lowering that as time goes on. As this red moving averages starts moving further into this zone, then basically what we're doing is we're bringing that 10% and we're constricting it even further. And as we start constricting it, we're going to have to see some movement. And I just find it very hard to believe that that movement is going to be down at this point. Now, with staking going live on EGLD and a lot of agencies filling up very quickly, and a lot of issues happening in the sense that there are changes being made to the staking process, it freaks people out, right? And a lot of staking providers don't get happy with those kind of things. But if you've been through this kind of thing on another blockchain in the past, when they first started offering staking and going public with it, you know that it's very normal for this to happen. If you have any type of background in development and have worked for companies where you have a project lifecycle or a product lifecycle and then a development lifecycle, you know that when you go live on production, there's a certain time period where you're essentially testing, right? You normally have three environments in like a development lifecycle. You have staging, well, you have like dev, and then you have staging, and then you have production. In this case, you have like the test net, the main net, and there might even be a dev net. I assume that there is. Now, it's kind of the same concept. You go from each of these different networks until you go to the main net, until you go to the production network. But there are a lot of times that once you go to mainnet, you run into issues that you don't see on dev or staging. And when you have those issues, you have to make changes in order to fix those issues and make things more, streamlined. So they work properly in your production environment. It's basically the same thing that we see on blockchains. That's how it works. During that time frame, you can see a lot of investors get scared who don't know what's happening. They see news and they say that, there was this guy on Twitter that was saying, oh, the Elrond guys are lying and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this is how development works. You have goals, you set those goals, and you try to meet those goals. And as you run into issues that stop you from meeting those goals exactly, you find ways to fix the issues to hit those goals. That's how it works. And you have to do things that way. You want to set your bar high. You want to set your goals much higher than what you actually feel you're capable of doing in that time period, because it makes you work harder. It makes you work better, right? You don't want to set, let's say you want to lose weight. I used to weigh 225 pounds. I weigh 175 now, or 180. And the reason I lost that weight is not because I set a goal that, I want to lose 2 pounds. No, I set a goal that I want to lose 50 pounds. And I worked towards that goal in small increments, right? And I hit as close to that goal as I could. I'm still working on it, so I'll get there. The fact is that development works the same way, right? You have to set goals and you have to work towards meeting those goals. When there are issues, you make changes and you fix things. It's a little bit of an issue for people that are trying to get into staking right now, that are trying to set up agencies and set up staking pools, because nobody likes those changes, right? They're setting up their code, their infrastructure as code, whatever it is, to get their nodes up and online so they can scale as they have a lot more people staking with them. They want to be able to bring in additional revenue and secure the blockchain further by increasing staking, by bringing more people into it. Everyone has a goal to not only earn EGLD as rewards through staking, but also secure the Elrond blockchain and help adoption grow. This benefits everyone. It benefits the investors, it benefits the staking pool operators, it benefits the people behind Elrond, and it benefits the people that really believe in it as an asset and want to start using it to transfer money to their friends instead of using PayPal and use it to pay things. So if you see that use case, you want to make sure that you're aware that in the first few weeks to a month, or maybe even a little longer, of something as big as this staking change going live, there can be issues, and those issues will be fixed. And during that time, to make a long story short, I wanted to explain that to you well, because I think it's very important not to let FUD cloud your judgment on a project because something doesn't go exactly as planned. As long as it goes as planned in that direction and achieves the goal, that's all that matters. And right now, I think what we're going to see is slight consolidation as we start seeing staking really pick up. And what we should see as these issues are fixed and as these agencies all put up more nodes and we start fixing any issues within the staking operations and more people start staking and becoming actively delegated, you'll see the price going up. That's the only thing that can happen. And the reason for that is that there's too much intrinsic value in the functionality that's being created for EGLD. So as long as it's executed properly, there's a lot of price movement to occur in an upwards direction. As long as it's executed properly, remember that. Execution is key, right? I believe in the project, but the people who control it need to execute properly. They need to do things properly, and so far they have. They've done very well over the last year, and if they continue to do that and stay on that path, we're going to see a lot of great things for EGLD. So keep it in mind right now, as far as downside targets go, I'm looking at around 128 to be a base when it comes down and touches this. It could fall a little bit below, but I don't see it going below 125. I'm actually I'm very skeptical that that'll even happen. That's a possibility, but I think the true base will likely be at around 135 if it was to drop, and we'll continue to see trading within this range. So maybe something like this, right? This is a possibility until it gets to the bottom of this triangle into where the, or bottom of rectangle into where the triangle is, until it makes a move up. And I'm really hoping that when we do see a move up out of this, that it's the end of this triangle, because this triangle has been extremely long, even though it's very bullish the way that it's been moving, because we haven't had a big drop below the triangle. We have maintained these prices. So that means we have maintained lower highs and higher lows. And long term, that's a very good signal, especially for an asset like this that's seeing a lot of production development at the current time. So keep it in mind, this is looking really good. Volume is still looking great. I mean, we haven't seen a big influx of volume. It went up a little bit when the price dropped. That's what you want to see. When you see the price dip down to 117 to 120 and it gets bought up so quickly, that's really good. It shows you that there are people waiting that were waiting to buy EGLD, and they did. Now what we want to see is at what point does that buy pressure become so much that the sell pressure is just overwhelmed and the price shoots up and volume skyrockets. It's going to happen at some point. We need to know when. And right now, it's looking like if this plays out, it could happen by April the 3rd or April the 4th. We don't know for sure because this triangle has been going for so long now that it wouldn't shock me that if it does drop and keep going and then extends out and goes even further into mid-April until all the issues with staking are solved and we really see active delegation go up massively. Then you could just see a huge breakout, way bigger than anyone's expecting. So we'll keep it in mind. We'll keep watching it. But right now, the main key is watching that price to stay in this triangle and also keeping an eye on volume. Once we see that volume break out, that's going to be a signal that something big's about to happen. So keep that in mind with EGLD, and we will move on to Cardano. All right, with Cardano, I mean, nothing major has really happened here, but what we have seen is something quite interesting. All right, with Cardano, you're basically seeing something slightly similar to what you're seeing with EGLD. You're seeing that price is staying very stable, and it's kind of been staying stable at this green line. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see it. At this green line in the center here, this line in our large fib is the 382 line. Okay, on this 382 line, you'll see that we've gone above it and below it numerous times, but we are pretty stable on this line. We keep coming back to this line, and this is like right at $1.20. That's a pretty good sign. It means that there's a lot of purchasing of Cardano occurring at around $1.20. It also means that we're unlikely to see a lot of the people at $1.20 start selling because they're going to be waiting for higher prices to sell. So you may not be looking for another consolidation for Cardano until the price really has a major breakout upwards of $1.50 to $1.60. Now, when is that going to happen? It's really hard to tell, but I will tell you this. The volume on Cardano is probably looking the most interesting out of all the assets we've just gone over because the volume has tapered so low, but it's holding RSI so well and holding price so well that this is looking extremely constricted. And when things start looking this constricted, you tend to have major moves. The only thing that has not become constricted yet is this 200 exponential moving average. But keep in mind, the 200 exponential moving average now sits at $1.10. So that means, and look what's happened. If you look at these moving averages, besides this flash crash that we had here, and we look at these moving averages going over, the 200 has really been the bottom. We have seen it bounce off of 200 so many times. Even at this section here where the price dropped back to around $1, it went below this very briefly. This 200 exponential has kept its uptrend going. And I feel like there's two great scenarios that can occur for Cardano right now. Cardano can keep going sideways, and if it does, great. Let it go sideways as long as it needs to, because what you're going to see is that this 200 exponential is going to keep rising slowly. And eventually, by, probably somewhere in mid-April, it's going to level out with the rest of these averages. Now, obviously, if we have higher price movement, we're going to see this moving average start moving up a lot faster. We've already had a bullish cross here, but it wasn't an extremely bullish cross. When a cross is going very parabolic, that's a very bullish cross. When it's going more steady, then that is more in the sense that you are still, doing price discovery. You're still discussing or you're not discussing, but you're still determining value. And right now, what this is looking like to me is that Cardano has determined that its value is above $1, right? We are seeing very sustained price action at over $1. And that's really, really good to see if you're an investor in Cardano, because it shows you that there's a good chance that the price dropping below $1 is unlikely. It's possible, but unlikely. You could see at a certain point that if there are any whales that want to take profits, that they could start selling. And if they do, then you could see a drop back to around 70 cents or so. If that does happen, I would expect that drop to be very temporary, and I would expect it to start recovering very quickly and start moving back in an upward direction. I think it's unlikely at this point, but it's always a possibility, especially when you have so much price constriction happening. Plus you have two tops at roughly the same place. So the fact that we have two tops at roughly the same place and we didn't break it, if we go back up to around $1.40 and we get rejected there again, then having a drop down to 70 cents is very possible. But we just don't know yet. We have to keep an eye on it. I would say this, so here's what I do with my Cardano. I do the same thing with Cardano that I do with EGLD, right? I have a good amount of Cardano and I have it staked. And I've staked my Cardano for like, I don't know, 6 months I've been staking it. I haven't sold any of it. But if the price ever drops down to 70 cents, I'll probably buy more of it, right? I haven't bought Cardano in a long time. I mean, I bought my Cardano at like, I don't know, 8 cents or something. I bought it really cheap because I saw the value in Cardano very early. So I started buying it and staking it. And I'm not going to stop doing that. I'm going to keep doing that. But at 70 cents, I am 100% a buyer. And it would be a great price to start increasing holdings. I should have done it when the price was moving up. But here's the thing. When the price had this kind of movement, and the last time if it was at 70 cents, it was a very risky trade because it was in the middle of such a big price move that I didn't know where the bottom was going to be with a consolidation. So I just didn't touch it. I just kept it staking and kept earning interest on it, and it turned out to be the best decision. But now where it is today, I can say with certainty that if there is a chance for this to drop back to 70 cents, 60 cents, whatever, it would be a buy, at least for me. I mean, you got to do your risk management. You have to believe in the project and you have to believe in the team behind it, because remember, this is not like Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you don't really have to believe in any person. You just have to know that Bitcoin, the way it is, it works, and it's always going to work. And as long as people continue using it and it's a better haven for your money than fiat currencies, it's doing its job. But Cardano, EGLD, Polkadot, all these projects are dependent on a team and a group of people behind it, and you have to believe in that team. So I suggest that as a Cardano holder, you learn about them. If you just like Cardano because you like the name and you like the fact that it's done so well, then that's not how you invest. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I'm glad you did well, but you know, you're not going to continue to do well just by speculating. You need to read and you need to learn. So please do your homework, learn about the Cardano Foundation, learn about Charles Hoskinson, learn everything about why the project is valuable, and then make your decision on if you're a buyer, if it drops back down to, 80 cents, 70 cents. Personally, I'll probably be a buyer of Cardano if it drops below $1 again. I'll probably be a buyer at that price. So I'll see. I'll have to see where other assets are at that time, because let's say there's a big market drop and I get a chance to buy EGLD at EGLD at $100 again, which I highly doubt is going to happen. But if it does, I would probably buy the EGLD over the Cardano, because personally, I think that EGLD, with its limited supply, has a much higher ceiling for price. So that's my take on it. Cardano's looking really good though. The RSI is looking good. We have a bullish cross starting to occur on the what's it called? The MACD down here at the bottom. You can't see it very well, but if you zoom into that, hang on, let me see if I can show it to you better. So if you zoom into this here at the bottom, you can see here that once this orange line, hang on, let me see, oh God, these MACDs are so difficult. I need to zoom in here. You can see here that once the blue line crosses over the orange line, I hope it's visible to you guys. Hang on, let me see if I can, maybe that's a little bit better. All right, that's slightly better. So you see here when the blue line in the MACD crosses over the orange line, that's a bullish cross. So we had a bullish cross down here and the price went up, but it looks like we could keep that bullish cross moving, because when we see here, it looked like we were about to turn bearish with this little red candle, but the blue line bounced off the orange line. When that happens, that can be very bullish. It's basically a rejection of a bearish cross, which in effect is a bullish cross, because for a split second, it dropped below the orange line and then it went back. So it had a very brief bearish cross, and then within that same 4-hour period, it went bullish again. So if it continues to go bullish, that could be an indication that we could see some price appreciation with Cardano. But with the news coming out with Visa and the USD coin, I would feel that if people were about to sell other assets right now, those assets would, like if they were about to sell altcoins, so let's say people are taking, if anyone decides to take profit in Cardano or Polkadot or whatever it might be, I feel that their money is likely going to flow into either Bitcoin or Ethereum on the heels of the news that came out from Visa, because it could be a catalyst for new all-time highs on both those assets. You'll likely see even more appreciation on the altcoins after Bitcoin and Ethereum make their big moves, right? When those consolidate, we'll likely see the others do well. But right now is such a shift in the market that even though that's how it normally happens, you see Bitcoin do very well while the altcoins bleed. Lately, we've been seeing everything do well at the same time and everything do bad at the same time. That's very, very interesting. It's kind of a shift in how price action has moved over the last year. So we have to keep monitoring that. I'll keep an eye on that and see if that really changes things. But as of right now, it could just be a fluke and only be happening when there is not major immediate price movement. We'll see how it plays out. That's pretty much it for today, you guys. Sorry the video was so long, as usual, but I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you check out the links down below, check out Rarible, learn about how to use Photoshop and create NFTs and do those things. I think that it could be a very valuable space to get into as a hobby for some point in the future, especially if you decide to put things on the Elrond blockchain once NFTs are available. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you put your comments and questions in the comments. And follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful week. Peace.